Hi there, and welcome to the Health and Government Operations Committee. It's possible that I have a script, but if I do, I haven't paid attention to it, so I'm going to wing it. And staff, if I forget something I need to say, please feel free to improve my job here. I want to start with a couple of announcements. The first one is important in terms of your calendars. Before COVID, when we were not virtual, we were voting on Fridays sort of at 1 o'clock or after session or some such. And then we moved it to Mondays because of trying to move things more quickly. I would like to move it back to Friday at 1 o'clock. I think that kind of works better for people. I've consulted with some people. So the voting sessions after today, the plan will be that they're at 1 o'clock. And obviously if session goes over, as we were when we weren't virtual, they'll slide to further in the afternoon, but they'll be close to when session ends so that we're done for the day when we're done with the voting session. The second thing that I wanted to talk about is that I have been approached to maybe soften our question rules. And again, I consulted with some people, and I feel like this committee has done a good job of trying to follow the rules. And sometimes that follow-up question is very important. So instead of saying it's one question, which by the way, some people were saying, I have one question, but it's two questions. And then they read their two questions. That's not going to fly. We're going to have one question, and then you can have one follow-up question. And you won't need permission, as Delegate Hill has been so great at requesting when she's been questioning people. But if we can't limit one question to one question, if it becomes two questions plus a follow-up, we're going to go back to the original rule. So that's direction for future, in particular for
Did that go through?
You're doing a lot of moving around there, Delegate Kaiser. That's in future, particularly for my subcommittee chairs who are chairing the hearings and the briefings, and also for the members, because we all need to know what the rules are and they need to be consistent. So with that, do you have any questions, first of all?
Madam Chairman?
Yes, Delegate Saab.
Also, the question can't be longer than the answer, correct?
Correct. We're not changing that. We're not giving speeches. We're trying to just get answers to our questions when we're questioning witnesses. And we're there to listen to the witnesses, not so much to preach to them, although I will admit that I, from time to time, feel obliged to set context. I wouldn't call it a speech. I would call it context. But since I'm the chairman, we're just not going to worry about that. Any other questions? Okay, with that, we'll move on to the voting session, which is the first of 2022 and the absolute first ever for Delegate Landis. If you have any questions, Delegate Landis, raise your hand in the panel. We will be voting using the raise hand function, and I'm going to open up my participants so that I can raise my hand if I want to and see it, and I'll see your hands if you have questions. And then when I call the vote, you will be able to raise your hand and we'll be able to take the vote count from the panel. So with that, we're going to move to, I move approval of allowing the sponsors of delegates House Bill 82 and House Bill 43 to be withdrawn.
Second.
Are there any question about allowing sponsors of those bills to be withdrawn? Allowing the bills to be withdrawn, not the sponsors. Okay.
Madam Chair, remind me, I'm using participants. I always use the other hand. How do we make the participant hand go up?
Reactions at the bottom of your
A
screen.
reaction. You were not participants. It's okay. We're back.
Well, I like the participant panel open because then I can see what we've all voted and you can too.
Okay, I got you.
And the world can also.
Oh, I see. I got you. I forgot from last year. Thank you.
That's fair enough, Delegate Krebs. This, you know, every time we start something again, you have to remember again. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, I haven't done all those in favor, have I? Maybe I have. I did.
I had a question.
Just anticipating.
Doesn't it figure that it's
I had a question, Madam Chairman.
for work? I moved approval. You're right. Okay, so I see two hands up. I'm gonna go to my participant, my reaction thing, and I'm gonna raise my hand. And I'm gonna allow sponsors of those two bills to withdraw their bills. I see some number of hands raised and it's not enough. Now we're catching on. Good, good, good. Delegate Kaiser has not voted.
She's holding her hand up in her view.
Okay, that's fine. I'm sorry, I wasn't looking there. Delegate Kaiser, if I miss you again, feel free to say something because I don't want to leave you out. The vote is unanimous.
Chairman,
No.
Delegate Johnson has a question.
Oh, well, kind of late, but okay. Delegate Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I had my hand up right off the bat, but
Oh, sorry, I missed it.
I was wondering which two bills, because your audio was breaking up a little bit, so I don't know if it was me or yours, but which two bills was it?
House Bill 82, which is government notarial acts fees, and House Bill 177, which I don't have the title of, but when a sponsor asks to withdraw it, I say sure.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Do you need to know the title? I'm sure that staff can read it to you.
I'm good. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
You're very welcome, and I'm sorry I didn't see your hand up. I thought you were voting with Delegate Krebs there. I thought you guys got an early start on voting.
Delegate Sample Hughes has not voted.
Delegate Sample Hughes, are you there able to vote?
Yes, my hand is up. It probably blends in with the background. It's a hand that's up on your left-hand corner.
Look in this participant screen, it has all the hands.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Good.
you're welcome.
How does, oh, there it is. I see it. It looks just like one of the balcony pillar
Yeah.
arches. How funny is that?
Let me find another one.
Maybe you could find a darker one or a lighter one to help us old eyes people. Okay, anybody else? I like the yellow hand. That really shows up, frankly, but it doesn't send any particular message, which I also happen to personally like. Okay, the vote is unanimous to let the sponsors withdraw those two bills. And with that, we will move on to House Bill 43. Lindsay.
Before we move on to these bills, isn't the committee going to vote on a rule about reporting out the bills to the floor?
Thank you. Good thing I have you there. Yes, we are. And I wrote the words down somewhere. So here, let's go with this. Because our committee will have routine vote sessions, but not convene back to the House floor for sometimes weeks, sometimes days, a majority vote is needed to allow the HGO committee to vote on bills and not be required to send those bills to the clerk of the House within 3 legislative days of the committee vote. So I need you to vote to allow us to hold the bills till the appropriate time to send them to the floor so that they get voted on in a proper way.
I'm sorry, can you say that? I didn't understand.
You heard but didn't understand?
I'm not sure. If you could just say it one more time, it would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to try to put it in the context of example, what we did last year. We did the same thing last year at the beginning of session. And when, oh, I see a lot of hands up. Okay, we have more questions, but we'll start with Delegate Hill since I heard her first.
I think they're
I see
voting, and
hands
maybe
up.
we should do thumbs up for voting instead of hands, and it would be less confusing. Because they're voting.
No, I said any questions and I'm on questions and I heard you. I didn't see hands, but I will see hands before we vote. I think, and my staff will correct me if I don't. So normally when we pass a bill in committee, we're required to send it to the House floor within 3 days of voting it. Because we're not meeting every day, we don't really want to send second reader bills to the floor until we're convening and having a session where we can consider those bills. So what we did last year was we allowed committees to hold the bills in committee once they were voted up or down before sending the report back to the clerk's office, I think is where it goes, so that it can be put on a voting list. Okay, is that making sense to you?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. We're not trying to slow down anybody in particular's bills. We're not going to have different rules for different bills. We're just allowing the committee to hold the bill until the chamber can deal with it. The alternative would be we couldn't vote on any bills until we knew the chamber was ready to vote on bills. And that would really slow things down because we would also have a big glut of things for voting sessions in the committee. So we're trying to keep current with the work that's done in our subcommittees and pass the bills or allow people to withdraw or kill the bills, but hold the report until it's time for the body to discuss them, because we want a full discussion on the floor. We can't do this in pro forma sessions, which we're having hopefully until the COVID numbers get a lot better. Except, of course, I'll see you all in person on Wednesday. So are there any other questions, or is that really now understandable? I don't see any hands in the column or on my screen. So all those in favor of the bill to suspend that rule for the duration of 2022 session, please raise a hand. Oh, I've got to do this one, right? We'll get better at this, especially me, maybe. And our newest members having no trouble at all. I'm very impressed, Delegate Landis.
And I'm missing Bandari.
Have we got him now?
Nope, still
No.
don't have a
Delegate
hand up.
Bandari, are you there? Does anybody see his face?
Yes, he is here.
There you are, Delegate Bandari. Why is your little hand signal not up? Remember reactions, click on it. Something wrong with your Delegate Bandari? Would you unmute yourself, please? Are you having problems with your computer? Delegate Bandari?
There he goes.
Okay, is it there now?
Still don't see a hand.
Is it in the column?
Nope.
Delegate Bandari? I see your face, you're muted. Can you unmute and explain what's going on?
Maybe
Can
put
you
it in the
unmute
chat.
your button to unmute your microphone? I think you're unmuted now. You can, oh, there you go. Yay, Delegate Bandari. We okay now?
Yeah, even though it's a thumbs up, I'll take it.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Maybe we'll use thumbs up for a question and hands up for a vote. What do you think? We won't take a vote on that right now, but we'll think about that. I didn't think about the fact that there were other reactions we could use.
Hands up for a question, thumbs up for a vote.
Actually, I'm thinking about that looks like for the question, but we'll deal with that later. Let's just get through the votes today. Okay, I neglected to say, oh, we're good. Okay, so we can now move on to, the vote was unanimous. We can now move on to the bills at hand. And let me say, as a preface to the vote, we passed all of these bills last year. If there are changes, I don't think so, but if there are, we'll hear what they are as we discuss them. So with that, I will move approval of House Bill 43. Lindsay.
This bill was, the prior introduction is House Bill 236 from 2021. The bill requires the Department of General Services to establish standards for state buildings to conserve energy and minimize adverse impacts on birds as specified, and update the standards every 5 years, except where full operation of building lighting is documented as necessary, including for public safety or other purposes. The standards must specify that interior and exterior lighting must be appropriately shielded and minimized from midnight to dawn during specified times of the year. Affected state buildings must meet the standards to the extent practicable and within budgetary constraints. DGS must reduce the lighting of existing state buildings to the extent practicable and within budgetary constraints.
Okay, are there questions? Oh, I'm sorry, Delegate Rosenberg, do you have anything to add?
I would just add that, as you pointed out, this is legislation we passed last year, passed out of the committee 20-4, the House floor 98-37. And in testimony this year, we heard testimony from the National Aquarium in the Inner Harbor, which has perhaps the most prominent windows in the state. And they are adjusting their windows or redoing their windows consistent with this bill. They're not affected by the bill. And similarly, the AIA, American International Association, or the Architects Maryland chapter, spoke in support of this bill because it is something that is going on in the private sector as well. Thank you.
Are there questions about this bill? Did somebody second moving? Oh, I see two hands up. Delegate Krebs.
Just for my own sake, how do we vote no? Do we put up anything or just leave it blank?
I'm going to do, you know what? Is there a thumbs down?
No, I don't think so. There's a thumbs up.
There's a thumbs up. There is, wait a minute, there's more things. I got all kinds of emojis, but none
There's
of them.
smiley faces. No, I can't get out of
Only
it.
a thumbs down, Madam Chair. You just have to scroll through the emoji options.
There is a thumbs down.
Where is it?
Further, do you have the
All the hands,
emoji
just-
function?
It's
so
not
you
easily
can
accessible.
Scroll down in it?
I'm trying to find the little, I see lots of
Maybe you could
faces.
just take, Madam Chair, maybe
Yes.
you could do like we did live, and you'd say, all in favor, say aye, we do the hands up, all opposed, put your hands up, and you just.
You know
pass it
what?
to
Yeah,
people.
that's what we did last year. We did the all in favor, say aye, but put your hands up. All those opposed, no. And then you need to let me know that you're a no by actually saying no, so that I know.
And I just got one question. I can't get out of these emojis. How do I can't
Just
get,
tap on the screen somewhere.
where? I do it there. Oh, I got it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Just call me the tech guru here.
There's a cancel button right underneath the emojis. You can hit cancel. It takes you out.
Okay. Yeah, I think that what we did was, like we often do in committee, all those in favor say aye, which will be the hands up, and all those opposed no. You're going to have to do a voice, and we're going to have to make sure we recognize you. So help me with that.
I just didn't want to
Anybody-
be, I didn't want to be inconsistent and disappoint Terry, you know.
Well, and is there anybody who doesn't remember how they voted last year and who would like us to find out? Because it was not a partisan vote, as I recall.
It actually left the floor unanimously last year, but maybe citizens.
No.
Maybe, maybe not. Delegate Rosenberg.
I believe the floor vote was 98-37. It was 20-4 in committee, but
Oh, isn't
98.
that unanimous? 98 to.
It's almost 100.
Unanimous Democrats.
Okay, so with that, all those in favor, please put your hands up, as in the reactions, which I will also do.
Madam Chairman, I have a quick question.
Yes, Delegate Tenderi.
No, this is not Delegate Bendera. I might look a little bit like
I'm
him.
sorry, Delegate Saab.
So last year, there was an amendment that was added to that bill. And just confirm, because I don't have the bill in front of me, but the amendment is actually part of the bill this year. Is that correct?
I'm going to defer to Lindsay. I believe it is that we are voting on it the way it left the committee last year, but Lindsay can verify that, please.
Yes, that's true.
Thank you.
Great question, Delegate Saab. Thank you. All right, so I see a bunch of hands that are in favor. All those opposed. Let's try, can you try a thumbs down or a face or a something that's not a hand up? The opposed people, yeah, there's a crying, laughing, crying, Krebs, that's fine. Let's do some symbol. Laughing, crying is good. I'm good with that. Anything that's not a hands up will do, but that, if we could be consistent with that, if you guys like it. No, they've disappeared for me.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
The reason that we didn't do that last year is because those reactions are time sensitive. The hand is the one that remains up until you take it down.
Thank you. Now you're the tech guru. I appreciate that very much. And I also am happy to hand over that title to you. Okay, so you're going to have to give me a voice vote or raise your hand like your real hand and say no and make sure we call your name, okay? I see Chisholm, I see Krebs. I'm only seeing half the people, so I'm going to go to the next page. Who else has a hand?
Shalega is a no.
Okay, thank you, Delegate Shalega. Anybody else? I got 3 no's. Okay, and everybody else is a yes. Thank you very much. That is the vote on this bill. Next, we will turn to House Bill 97. What?
Sorry.
We'll turn to House Bill 97. Lindsay.
House Bill 97 is, I believe that's mine.
Yes, it should be Lisa.
Yeah, the work group on Black.
You're right.
That's okay. So House Bill 97 establishes the work group on Black, Latino, Asian American, Pacific Islander, and other underrepresented behavioral health professionals. And the bill is in the same posture that it passed committee last year.
Delegate Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So the members of the committee all liked this bill. It passed the committee unanimously and the floor with 5 no votes last year. Exactly the same bill. We did have some amendments proposed this year. It was the typical pile on to the work group amendments. We respected everybody's decision to be part of this, but the sponsor answered the question appropriately when he said the bill allows for subgroups to be created to include other people. Right now, the work group has 15 people, so we chose not to accept any of the amendments, but rather have the process that is included in the bill already for subgroups to include those other stakeholders. With that, I move the bill.
Would somebody second the bill?
Second.
Excellent. We're going to vote on this the way we did before, but then we're going to talk about symbols because Delegate Belcastro's memory is good and she gave me a suggestion. So all those in favor of House Bill 97, please raise your hand.
Aye.
All those opposed, please make a noise and raise your non-virtual hand so we can see you. I see no virtual hands or anything, so I assume that this bill passes unanimously. Thank you. Now, before we vote on the last bill, Delegate Belcastro suggests that what we did last year was we didn't vote yes, that we only voted no. And Kelly is shaking her head.
That's my recollection as well. I think it worked well.
Well, that will make things much easier. Both of you, thank you for remembering and bothering to say something because I really appreciate your help because I have to admit I didn't remember that at all.
And just make sure that if you're on here, you're really on here, not just your picture, because you might do a yes vote and not realize it.
That's right. That's your responsibility. And we try to make sure you're really still on here and that you're not going away, because you're supposed to be on here. That's the rule. You need to have your face visible. And by that, I don't mean a picture of your face. I noticed that some of the other committee members were doing that in our joint stuff. And I was sort of surprised, but my members seem to be having their faces live streamed, which I'm very proud of us all for. The last bill, we'll do this what is probably the more efficient way. House Bill 126, Lindsay.
This bill requires the standard time in the state to be Eastern Daylight Time year-round, which would establish year-round daylight savings time in the state. The change is contingent on similar legislation being enacted by Delaware, the District of Columbia, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia, and the appropriate federal law being amended to allow the states or a state individually to observe a year-round standard time that is consistent with Eastern Daylight Time. If DLS does not receive notice of those contingencies by December 31st, 2027, the bill terminates. And this last year was House Bill 1013 of 2021.
Delegate Rosenberg.
And the vote on the bill, in the same bill this year as last year, the vote last year in committee was 20-3, and on the floor it was 115 to 116.
Couldn't have been 115 to 116.
That's 131.
115 and 116.
Oh, I'm sorry, 115 to 16. I'm sorry if I
Thank you.
misstated.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm not great at math, but that much I
Yes,
can
you
handle. Okay. Would you like to move the bill, Delegate Rosenberg?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I move favorable.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any
Second.
discussion on this bill? And this time I'm going to try to make sure I catch hands. I see two hands up. I see Delegate Lewis and then followed by Delegate Shalega. Delegate Lewis, are you there? Your hand seems to have disappeared.
Madam Chair, apologies.
Okay, Delegate Shalega, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. I saw a letter from two options, and he said he didn't really have a preference whether we went with daylight savings or standard time. And I'm going to support it this year. Last year, I opposed it because I thought we were supposed to limit our bills to COVID-specific things, and this clearly isn't COVID-specific, but I think it's a good idea. I just am wondering why we didn't pick standard time.
Well, I mean, there are valid reasons either way, but this is how it was introduced. I mean, there are benefits to being lighter late in the day, and in terms of health, in terms of accidents, in terms of crime. And there are some valid reasons to have it get light earlier. I don't want to repeat what Yogi once said, but this is the way the bill's been introduced. So that's what's before us.
Delegate Chisholm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I know I'm on this subcommittee, but I'm hoping that Chairman Rosenberg can remember. Was it the teachers union that came in opposition to this?
Well, my memory is, if I could speak to the testimony this year, I don't recall testimony from any teachers union. The Anne Arundel County Board, I think, has taken action in opposition, but notably we did not hear from their statewide group, the state MABE, the Maryland Association of Boards of Education. We did not hear from them.
Thank you for the clarification.
Certainly.
Is there any other discussion of this bill?
Madam Chair, I still have three hands up.
Well, good. I need to find them. There we go. I see. We'll start with Delegate Kelly and then move on. Delegate Kelly.
Delegate Kelly does not have a question and needs to lower her hand. I apologize.
Fine. Delegate Hill. You don't have a question either.
I thought I was voting.
Does anyone have a question? Okay, well, let's remember, if we can, to take our hands down after a vote, and it will be easier because we will be mostly voting yes, which means we won't be putting our hands up, which is good. So was this bill, it was moved, was it seconded? Would somebody like to second it just in case?
Second.
Okay, we've had our discussion. All those in favor, smile. All those opposed, please raise your hand in the panel.
You said opposed, raise your hands.
Opposed, raise your hands.
Okay, Delegate.
Opposed, I see Delegate Bagnall, Delegate Saab, Delegate Sample Hughes, and Delegate Chisholm. I see 4 opposed, and everyone else will be recorded in favor of this bill. Correct me if I.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Before you record the vote, I would be interested in the rationale from Delegate Sample Hughes or Bagnall, because I may change my vote before we finalize it.
I think it's appropriate to ask questions about the bill. I don't really think it's appropriate at this point in time to ask questions about why someone is voting a particular way.
It's about, let me ask about what they don't like about the bill.
I don't think that's an appropriate question, Delegate Hill. I think that's something you would need to ask them in advance. I think that we don't ask people why they're voting a particular way. We ask about the bill, not why a person is doing yes or no. Okay. I'm sorry if that's difficult for you. Okay, I see 4 hands that say no. No one has corrected me. So that will be the vote. Does staff have that? I see Delegate Bandari is doing something. Okay, his hand is also a no. I see 5 votes against the bill.
No, it was by mistake.
Okay, it's gone again. So that's good. I see 4 votes opposed to this bill. We're going to get this. All of us will get better at it. And I need to get the most better at it. I know, but we'll get there. Okay, so the vote is something to 4. And with that, do you have any questions? You were all here when I announced that we're changing our voting sessions to Friday at, correct? No surprise there. We modified the question answer rule. We still want short questions, not speeches. We still are going to ask 1 question and 1 follow-up. And we're going to stick to that. And if we don't stick to that, then we will be changing back to 1 question and asking for a follow-up. So with that, I will see you all tomorrow at 1 p.m. and Delegate Rosenberg will be chairing the briefing at 1. Is it at 1 p.m.?
Yes, it is.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay. This meeting of the HGO committee is in